This video is made in collaboration with Election Maps UK. You can find them and their amazing content over on Twitter at Election Maps UK. While you're there, you can give us a follow too, but no pressure. This election is something that wasn't supposed to happen, at least from the UK's perspective. The UK was originally supposed to be leaving the EU on the 29th of March, way before the EU Parliamentary elections. That would have saved the UK from taking part and having to spend millions on the elections. Unfortunately, that's not how things played out, and although the UK government is still hoping to leave soon, they're still members of the EU, which means that the UK is taking part. If you do want to know more about how the UK actually elects its MEPs, and how the system works, we have a separate video on that, so we won't repeat ourselves here. You can find that video via a link in the description. Although they were never meant to happen, the 2019 European elections are probably going to be incredibly important. The result will shape the future of the Conservative Party, Labour's Brexit policy, and potentially the outcome of Brexit itself. So how about we run through the different parties, how they're expected to do, and what it means for Brexit. The Brexit Party are certainly the new kids on the block. They were only founded in the last few months, and this is the first election they'll be taking part in. However, this doesn't mean you should underestimate them. After all, their leader alone gives them a good shot in these elections. With Nigel Farage at the helm, the party have been able to attract a lot of attention, and are hoping to pull a lot of the votes. They're currently averaging 29% in European election polls, putting them on around 26 seats out of the 70 available in Great Britain. This surpasses UKIP's 24 seats they won with back in 2014. It's almost certain that they're going to come first in the EU elections, with them likely to swallow up much of the UKIP and Conservative Party's vote share. Unsurprisingly, data shows that they're polling particularly strongly in pro-Brexit areas, especially among older voters and especially among older men. Not only this, but polling data shows that they would do incredibly well if a general election was called right now. A surprising poll from Comres showed that the Brexit Party would win 50 seats in the UK Parliament if a general election was called. Especially impressive when you consider that UKIP have only ever got one MP elected. Most surprisingly is how the Brexit Party would surpass the Conservatives in the number of votes they received, with 20% of people saying they'd vote for the Brexit Party to only 19% who say they'd vote Conservative. The Conservatives would, however, win more seats due to how the first-past-the-post system works, with them being predicted 179 seats. The winning party is predicted to be Labour on 316 seats. Obviously, conclusions drawn from this should be limited, as it's only one poll. It doesn't take into account changes in the length of the campaign, nor changes in people's attitudes between now and whenever a general election actually occurs. So in both general election polling and European election polling, the Brexit Party seems to be doing well. Labour, however, have had a tough time when it comes to Brexit. Despite being the official opposition party, they haven't taken the strong stance that many were expecting, with the party still lacking a cohesive vision when it comes to Brexit. Although they officially support a second referendum, it's not exactly clear from their actions, with Labour MPs' opinions on Brexit varying fairly substantially. This has likely hurt the party and damaged their chance of becoming the official party for Remainers. Despite this, they're averaging about 25% in the polls, which we estimate will leave them on about 23 seats, up 3 from their previous performance in 2014. Labour's voters are still overwhelmingly Remain, despite the party's ambiguous Brexit stance that we mentioned earlier. They'll be helped by the fact that in the regions which have less seats, it's nearly impossible for the Green, Lib Dems or Change UK to win a seat, and as such, Labour will likely benefit from tactical Remainer voting. Their vote seems to be holding up fairly well in metropolitan areas, but there still seems to be a worry that they'll leak more votes to the more unequivocally Remain parties. The Tories seem to be having a pretty miserable time, to match how miserable things have been for the Conservatives more generally. Their failure to deliver Brexit on time has lost them swathes of core voters, with Brexiteers turning to more hardline Brexit parties, who voters believe will deliver a stronger Brexit. They're currently averaging only 13% in the polls, leaving them just 10 seats, down from the 19 they held in 2014. This would be the worst result for them in a national election ever. They're already averaging third place in opinion polls, but at the current rate that they're hemorrhaging votes, it looks like they could finish in 4th behind the Lib Dems, or even 5th behind the Greens. The Liberal Democrats have been positioning themselves as the party for Remainers, and are hoping to scoop up a whole load of Remain votes. The party are currently polling at 12%, which means at the current time they'll be getting 6 seats, up 5 from their performance in 2014. They seem to have benefited from strong local election results, which have positioned them as the front-runner Remain party and granted them some real legitimacy. They could benefit further from Labour voters being dissatisfied with their position on Brexit. And also, Change UK, another major Remain party, is currently struggling, so they don't have a ton of competition. The Greens are another pro-Remain party, who will be looking to benefit from Labour voters frustrated with their current Brexit stance. They did strongly in 2014, finishing in 4th place, meaning it'll be hard for them to maintain that benchmark. They're currently averaging 7% in opinion polls, which would leave them with 1 seat, down 3 from 2014, though some polls have placed them doing better, maintaining their seats, and even finishing ahead of the Tories in some polls. Their biggest problem is that the Liberal Democrats have positioned themselves as the strongest Remain voice, and unless you live in the southwest or London, there's either not enough seats or enough support to give the Green Party a strong chance of winning one of them. Change UK have had a torrid time recently, polling at just 5% and projected to win 0 seats. The party was supposed to be a new force in politics, protesting the two-party system and representing a true collaboration in UK politics. That was the dream at least. But that's not exactly how it's played out. Their logo and branding are a complete mess, and they've been completely outshone by the Brexit Party on the change politics front. The Brexit Party have had several high-profile rallies, accompanied by slick social media videos and high-profile candidates. In comparison, Change UK have been small and low-profile, almost Theresa May 2017-esque, and it doesn't seem like they're offering much that the Lib Dems aren't. They can't even decide what they're called. Is it Change UK, the independent group, or some kind of confusing portmanteau of the two? They've also had an MEP candidate resign after he made comments about Romanian pickpocketers. As such, it's not expected that they'll perform particularly well in the upcoming elections. That being said, their plight is nothing compared to UKIP's. The party were truly having a nightmare at the moment. They've gone from winning the 2014 EU elections, with 27% of votes and 24 seats, to 2019, where they're getting 3% of votes in polling and a projected 0 seats. UKIP's biggest issue is that the Brexit Party have stolen their identity and their leader, making them the most high-profile pro-Leave party, when the Brexit Party are doing so well in both the EU election and general election polling. UKIP have become increasingly far-right in recent years, and maybe that's the new niche they're trying to capture. Regardless, it doesn't look like it's helping them this time round. The Scottish National Party look like they'll get 3 seats, up from 1 in 2014, whereas Plaid Cymru should stay on 1. But they could struggle to maintain their seat, due to there only actually being 4 seats in Wales. There's a real lack of individual Scotland and Wales polling, which means it's hard for us to comment much further than that. But both do seem to be holding steady at the moment. So that's how things are looking at the moment. The country's split. Split between Remain and Leave, and even split between the parties on both sides. That means that this election is effectively going to be a second EU referendum. And it looks like the Brexit Party will be the ones who are going to win it. But reaching 32% of the vote when combined with UKIP isn't exactly a clear majority for a hard World Trade Organization rules Brexit. The strongly Remain parties look to get around 30%, which is a very similar number of votes. Conservative and Labour, the parties who want a deal with the EU, are polling at 38%, again, not close to a majority of voters. The country remains divided, and it looks like this election might not be the final decision that some were hoping for. The electorate is split, just as the politicians who represent them are. We're headed into uncharted territory, and I don't want to make too many predictions about what happens after these elections, because truly, anything could happen. If you want us to dive deeper into the EU elections and what the consequences could be for Brexit, then like this video and comment below. We want to see exactly the video topics you're interested in, and the topics you want us to cover. Make sure to comment them below, and we'll do our best to get on them as soon as we can. As I said at the top, Election Maps UK lended us a hand with this video, helping us break down how the UK is expected to vote in the upcoming elections. They were the perfect people to work with on a project like this, because they're always talking about elections, the predictions, and the results. On their Twitter account, they share all of the latest maps and polling, showing exactly what's happening at all kinds of elections. If that sounds like something you're interested in, then check them out. You can find them at Election Maps UK. While you're over on Twitter, you can follow us at TLDR News UK. In fact, you can find exclusive content and articles by following us across all of our social channels. You can find us by searching for TLDR News. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, that way you can keep updated with all of our latest videos and the developments surrounding the EU parliamentary elections.